Melissa Harding tapped the ash of her cigarette out the cracked window of her friend's old sedan. She hated that she'd started smoking again, but after the last fight with Derek, quitting had felt impossible. The sound of bottles breaking, the sting of his hand across her cheek, she carried those memories like bruises under her skin. Beside her in the driver's seat was Natalie Pierce, the kind of friend people write songs about. They'd met in elementary school, inseparable since the days of scraped knees and whispered secrets. Natalie had been her shield in high school, her confidant in college, and now, maybe, the only person who could save her from this spiral. Melissa flicked one last bit of ash and muttered, "You really think he's different now?" Natalie smiled knowingly, eyes never leaving the road. "Oh, he's different all right. Trust me, Mel. The Derek you remember. That man's long gone." Melissa's stomach tightened. The folder of legal papers on her lap felt heavier than stone. "This sounds insane. The way you explained it last night, it didn't sound real." "Real enough," Natalie said, placing a reassuring hand on Melissa's knee. "You'll see. Just don't scream when you see him, okay?" The car rolled into the parking lot of a rundown roadside motel. Melissa's pulse quickened. The place looked like it belonged in a crime documentary. Buzzing neon light, graffiti scratched into doors, and strangers loitering in shadows. "Why would Derek even live here?" Melissa whispered. "He had inherited money, a lot of it. He could have had an apartment downtown or even a house." Natalie just smirked. "Because this place lets him hide. And he likes hiding now." They climbed a creaky staircase to the second floor. The hallway smelled of bleach and smoke. Melissa stopped dead when she saw the door Natalie led her to, room 214. Someone had taped a garish drawing to it, a giant pink heart surrounded by roses, glitter smeared across the edges like a child's craft project. Natalie grinned at her hesitation. "Ready to meet the new Derek?" Melissa opened her mouth to protest, but Natalie knocked 3 times. The door swung open, and Melissa dropped the folder of papers straight to the floor. Her breath caught in her throat. Standing there in the doorway wasn't Derek, not the Derek she remembered. The figure wore satin, lace, and frills that looked pulled straight out of a vintage pinup fantasy. 6-inch heels gleamed beneath stockings and garters. A platinum wig rose high in a styled bouffant, topped with pink ribbons and plastic roses. And the makeup, heavy, theatrical, a doll's face painted over familiar features, left Melissa frozen in disbelief. "Sweetheart," the voice trilled in a falsetto that made Melissa's skin prickle. "Oh, darling, you came." She clutched the wall, heart racing. That voice. That jawline beneath the powder. It was Derek. But not the Derek she knew. Melissa's knees nearly gave out as Derek twirled in the doorway like a pageant contestant, the ruffles of his satin outfit fluttering with each exaggerated step. "Don't just stand there gawking, sugar plum," he cooed, striking a curtsy that would have been comical if it hadn't been so disturbing. "Come give your darling a proper hello." Melissa flinched backward, but Natalie was already nudging her forward, scooping the fallen folder of papers off the floor. Inside, Natalie said firmly, "You'll understand more in a minute." Melissa's eyes darted between her friend and the transformed figure in lace. Everything in her body screamed to run. But Natalie's grip on her wrist was steady, unyielding. They stepped into the motel room. Melissa gasped. It wasn't just a motel room, it was a shrine. Every surface was covered in frills, bows, and lace. Pink dresses dangled from hangers on the curtain rod. Plastic tiaras and feather boas were scattered across the unmade bed. A cracked mirror reflected Derek's gaudy wig collection, each one balanced on foam heads lined up like soldiers. "This," Melissa stammered. "This is insane." Natalie closed the door behind them with a soft click. "It's not insanity, Mel. It's reconstruction." Derek turned toward her, suddenly solemn, his falsetto dropping an octave. "She doesn't get it yet. Should we show her?" Melissa's chest tightened. "Show her what?" Natalie set the folder of papers down on the cluttered desk. "We'll get to that. First, Derek." "Not Derek," he snapped, his eyes wide and glassy. His voice shot back up to a trembling falsetto. "Derek is gone. Gone. I'm Delilah now. Don't you dare call me by that other name." Melissa stumbled back a step, her heart thundering. What happened to you? Delilah's painted lips quivered. What happened? What happened is what she did. He jabbed a jeweled fingernail toward Natalie. She fixed me. She broke me. She rewired me until Derek was a ghost. Melissa turned sharply to Natalie, searching her face. Tell me he's lying. Tell me this isn't what it looks like. Natalie didn't answer right away. She pulled a chair out from the desk and gestured for Melissa to sit. I told you last night there were things you couldn't imagine. That Derek, the violent Derek who hurt you, is gone. What you're looking at now is the result of a process most people will never believe exists. Melissa shook her head. This isn't therapy. This isn't healing. This is. Delilah suddenly burst into tears, mascara streaking down his face like black rivers. You don't love me anymore. You hate me. Everyone hates me. I'm nothing but a broken doll. Melissa froze. She had never seen Derek cry like that, not even once. Natalie leaned in close to Melissa's ear, her voice low, steady, and chilling. He doesn't cry because he wants to. He cries because I told him to. Melissa's blood ran cold. Melissa's whole body stiffened at Natalie's whisper. You what? She hissed, too stunned to raise her voice. Natalie stepped calmly around the room, brushing her fingers over a pink feather boa as though admiring her handiwork. I told you, Mel. There are methods out there. Techniques most people can't wrap their heads around. Derek was a monster. He drank, he hit, he ruined you. So I rewired him. Melissa blinked. Rewired? That's not possible. Natalie chuckled, pulling open a drawer and revealing neat rows of notebooks, each filled with scrawled symbols and diagrams. Hollywood makes it look like hypnosis is a stage trick. Watch the watch, count backwards, clap your hands, nonsense. The real thing is scarier. It isn't about putting someone under for a few minutes. It's about breaking them until they'll never put themselves back together again. Melissa's mouth went dry. Delilah, still weeping in the corner, suddenly stiffened. His painted lips twitched into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. In a lilting falsetto, he said, Dream pink. Broken porcelain. Pretty doll. And, just like that, he froze in place. Perfectly still. Like a mannequin waiting to be posed. Melissa's hand shot to her mouth. Oh my God. Natalie turned, grinning. Trigger words. Crafted and repeated until his mind bent around them. Every time I spoke them, the cracks got deeper. Every time he obeyed, Derek faded a little more. Until one day, there wasn't a Derek left to resist. Melissa's knees trembled. That's abuse, Nat. You didn't help him, you destroyed him. Natalie's smirk hardened into something colder. Destroyed him? No. I saved you. Don't pretend you've forgotten the bruises, Mel. Don't act like you didn't beg me to make him stop. Well, I made him stop. Permanently. Melissa wanted to argue, but the words caught in her throat. She remembered too well. The slammed doors, the empty bottles, the nights she prayed for escape. Delilah suddenly blinked, shivering as though waking from a dream. Please, his falsetto cracked. Please don't make me say it again. Natalie's hand hovered over him, almost tender. Hush now, doll. You're safe with us. Melissa backed toward the door, her pulse racing. Safe, she whispered. Natalie, what else have you done? Natalie didn't answer right away. Instead, she slowly closed the drawer of notebooks and fixed Melissa with a look that chilled her to the bone. What makes you think Derek was the only one? Melissa's back pressed against the peeling wallpaper as Natalie's words sank in. What makes you think Derek was the only one? The room seemed to shrink. The stench of cheap perfume and cigarette smoke thickened, choking her lungs. Melissa's voice cracked. What are you saying? Natalie tilted her head, smiling faintly, as if she were a teacher coaxing a student toward the answer. Derek was my experiment. My proof of concept. But once you figure out how to rewire one broken man, you start to realize, she paused, letting the silence hang, there are so many more who deserve it. Melissa's stomach lurched. More. Natalie crossed the room and tugged open the closet door. Melissa gasped. Inside hung not just clothes, but costumes. Row after row of frilly dresses, wigs, padded bras, and shiny heels. Dozens of them, each tagged with a name scrawled in black marker. Anthony. Mark. Ray. Simon. Melissa's heart hammered. No, you didn't. From the adjoining bathroom came a sound that froze her blood. A soft, trembling sob. Natalie smirked and swung the door open. A second figure sat on the floor, hugging their knees, mascara running down their cheeks. A man Melissa didn't recognize, but dressed in the same forced femininity, wig slipping crookedly, hands trembling with chipped nail polish. Meet Andrew, Natalie said casually as though introducing a dinner guest. Or as he calls himself now, Andrea. He used to run a bar 2 towns over. Used to scream at his wife in front of their kids. Used to think fists solved everything. She crouched beside him, brushing a strand of synthetic blonde hair from his wet face. Now, he sings lullabies in a falsetto every night before bed. Don't you, Andrea? Andrew's cracked voice squeaked out a broken yes before he dissolved back into sobs. Melissa staggered, ball rising in her throat. This is monstrous. You're not saving anyone. You're fixing them, Natalie interrupted, eyes flashing. Breaking monsters and turning them into dolls. Isn't it better this way? Would you rather Derek was still drinking, still breaking bottles over your head? Or do you prefer him as Delilah, needy, harmless, desperate to please? Delilah giggled weakly from the corner, spinning in his heels again, like a broken toy wound too tight. Melissa's chest tightened until she could barely breathe. How many? She whispered. Natalie's smile widened, calm and terrifying. Enough to make a collection. Melissa's lungs felt tight, as though the walls themselves were pressing in. The lace, the wigs, the perfume, all of it suddenly suffocating. This wasn't just Derek. It wasn't just Delilah. There were others. Dozens of others. Her hands shook as she pressed them against the wallpaper, searching for air, for space, for a way out. Every nerve screamed at her to run. Natalie watched her with unsettling calm, arms folded. You're trembling, Mel. Why? Don't you see what a gift this is? Melissa's voice cracked. Gift? You've brainwashed them. You've turned them into dolls. This isn't salvation, it's a prison. Delilah let out a high-pitched giggle that dissolved into a sob, mascara dripping onto his satin bodice. Andrea whimpered from the bathroom floor. Melissa's pulse spiked. The door. Just a few feet away. If she could just. She lunged. Her hand closed around the doorknob, slick with sweat, and she twisted hard. For a split second, hope flared. But the door didn't budge. Locked. From the outside. Melissa's stomach dropped. She jerked the knob again and again, panic clawing at her throat. No, 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 no. Behind her, Natalie's voice was quiet, almost pitying. You think I'd let you just walk out? After showing you all this? Melissa spun. Back to the door, chest heaving. You can't keep me here. Natalie took one slow step forward. Then another. I don't want to keep you here, Mel. I want you to understand. And once you understand, you'll thank me. Melissa shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. You're insane. Natalie's smile never faltered. Insane? No. Focused. Determined. You wanted Derek gone, and now he's gone. What's left is safer. Softer. Harmless. Delilah twirled again, falsetto breaking on a shrill laugh. Andrea buried his face in his hands. Melissa's hand gripped the doorknob like a lifeline. She didn't care if it was locked. She'd break it, she'd scream, she'd do anything. But then she felt it. Something cold brushing her wrist. She looked down. Natalie's hand, firm as steel, wrapped around her arm. Sit down, Melissa, Natalie whispered. You're not ready to leave yet. Melissa froze. Every instinct screamed run, but her body wouldn't move.